Today we are going to take a look at my Remarkable Reader program, which is the reading incentive program or program to celebrate reading in my classroom. And one of the big things that I like to do is encourage independent reading. And so I'm going to talk to you a little bit about this program today. Now, if you've been in my class before, you've heard about this program, but I do still want you to watch the video so that you can hear about some of our new updates for virtual learning. So this is a picture of one of the canvases in my classroom that go with the Remarkable Reader posters, and I'll show you the rest of them later. But it was a big success last year, and I really hope that it continues to be a big success this year. So in our slideshow, your mission, should you choose to accept it, is, and I'm going to move my bubble over here, is to read as many pages as you can this year. I was going to move my bubble, but it didn't move. So I'm going to give you a spreadsheet that you can use to track your own books in Google Classroom. You don't really have to turn it into me. I can look and see what you've done, but you can keep track of it for yourself, and I'll make that available to you. But what we're going to do is I'm going to show you how to do the Remarkable Reader form for this year. So instead of having a log in your resource binders like you had last year, you're going to have a form on Google Forms, and you're going to put in some different information. Like I said, I'll show you what that is in a little bit. And I'm going to use that to tally your minutes. So actually it should be easier than the way that we did it last year. You can just do it as you read books. And I'm going to tally those numbers once a week. No, not once a week, once a month. And so once a month, we'll do a Remarkable Reader recognition. So those of you who earn the different levels for page numbers are going to get to have your name announced in our virtual class and on our website, and probably in our newsletter as well. And until we get back to school physically, you'll get to digitally sign the board. Not quite as much fun as actually signing it for real, but that's what we have to work with. And once you get back in, you'll get to actually for real sign it. So I give rewards or recognition at 500, 1,000, 5,000, and 10,000 pages. Don't worry, if you're a returning student and you had pages for me, your pages from last year will still count. I have them in a spreadsheet. They are ready to go and be added to. So for those of you who are on the 500 page, don't worry, your 500 and more pages are already logged for this year. So this is the number of kids who got to sign the 500 page last year. I think there were like 23 or so. And I was just floored by the amount of kids who were able to read 500 pages in a school year. That's awesome. So proud of you guys. So you'll notice there's some kids on here from last year who have moved on, who have graduated already, some kids who are returning. That's okay. Everybody's name's going to stay on the board. We had a bunch of kids who reached 1,000. And for a couple of you guys will notice that your name isn't written on there. It's actually right here, and right here. I wrote it on there with the digital font because I meant to have you sign it at open house and I completely forgot. But so we've got a bunch of people who reached 1,000. We've got a bunch of people who are at like 3,000, which is fantastic. I had 3 kids last year reach 5,000, and all of them were 8th graders. So I'm super excited to see which of my kids from last year are going to be able to reach 5,000 this year. Or maybe even a new student, a 6th grader maybe, might even reach this year. And I had one incredibly dedicated reader who reached 10,000 last year, which is huge. I had a couple people who were super close. Some of my 5,000 kids were really, really close to 10,000. One of them actually made it. And so hopefully we'll get to see a couple more people sign 10,000 this year. And you might be thinking, are you crazy, Miss Kramer? because 10,000 pages is a lot. But I don't expect you all to reach 10,000 pages. In fact, you probably won't. That's okay. All I'm asking you to do is do as much as you can. The only person you're competing against is you. You're not competing against everybody else. The whole purpose of the signature boards is to encourage you, inspire you, not pressure you. And so that's why I did them in smaller steps at the beginning. And the reason that I did these is I was inspired by the weight loss boards that they have at the gym that I go to, or at least that I used to go to before the pandemic. Hopefully I'll get back there someday. But they have these big kettlebells that people sign whenever they lose 10, 25, 50, or 100 pounds. And it's really inspiring to see all these people getting to sign these boards. And in fact, these 10 and 25 pound kettlebells, they've actually retired and put new ones on. And so it's really inspiring when you're working out there to see people who have lost 10, 25, 50, or 100 pounds at the gym. So I thought, hey, let's do this with reading. So you might wonder, why would you do a program like this? The reason is that reading is so important. If you have ever been frustrated with your reading in class and thought, I wonder what I could do to get better at reading, the answer is really simple. All you have to do is read more. I promise. It's no more complicated than that. Now, there might be things that you need help with in terms of phonics and comprehension, different things that we help you with at school. But the number one thing that you can do to help yourself be a better reader is to simply read. And even when you have other work to do at home, you can find time to read. If you can find 15, 20 minutes to scroll through Facebook or Instagram or Snapchat or TikTok, or if you can spend a couple hours on a video game, you've got time to read. And closed captioning while reading isn't necessarily the same thing. But I do encourage, if you struggle with reading just text, audiobook is a great way to go too. You can read and listen along. There's lots of audiobooks online, and I'll talk a little bit more about some reading resources later. So from this week on, after this week, you're going to see in your weekly planner 20 minutes of reading every day of the week, no matter what. That's going to be a must do. I want you to be reading at least 20 minutes a day. Now, if you want to read a comic book, that's fine. If you want to read the newspaper, that's fine. Magazine, graphic novel, real novel, encyclopedia, internet websites, whatever you prefer to read, that's fine with me. You want to read fan fiction? Go for it. The thing is, reading is important. Now, some of those are a little harder to track for this program. You might not necessarily be able to track newspaper and fan fiction and magazines quite as easily as a novel or a nonfiction book. But if you want some help with that, I can help get you some equivalents for it. But it is really, really important to read, and I'm going to explain that a little bit more in the next couple slides. This program gives recognition and rewards for people who achieve their goals, and we'll be so proud of you and celebrate you. And even if you yourself are working towards a goal and haven't reached it, that doesn't mean that you can't be happy for and proud of people who have already reached their goals. And be proud of everybody. We can all be in it together. So independent reading is really important. It improves your reading performance, like I said already. It increases your vocabulary, which is something that everybody in my classes could use. And that's not an insult. That's just everybody can improve their vocabulary. Even I, when I'm reading, come across words that I don't know and I have to look up. And I have a pretty extensive vocabulary. And it also builds background knowledge. So this is a really important graphic that I want to emphasize, that why read 20 minutes at home. If you look here in the first column, if student A reads 20 minutes per day, they read at least 3,600 minutes per school year, which can average out to about 180 million words per year. And you can see in that graphic kind of the equivalent of what that looks like. And they could possibly score up into the 90th percentile due to that on standardized tests. If student B reads only 5 minutes a day, and 5 minutes is better than nothing, but it's not quite enough, they would only average out to about 900 minutes a school year, which is only about 282,000 words per year. It's a big difference between 1.8 million. And those students would be more likely to score in the 50th percentile of a standardized test. If student C only reads 1 minute per day, they might only read 180 minutes a year, which is only, per school year, which is only about 8,000 words a year, and they would be more likely to score in the 10th percentile on standardized tests. So that difference between 1 minute per day versus 20 minutes a day is really drastic. And that's one of the reasons why I'm really passionate about asking you guys to read 20 minutes a day at home. If a student in kindergarten starts reading 20 minutes a night, by the end of 6th grade they will have read for the equivalent of 60 school days straight. Student B, with only 5 minutes a day, would only read for about 12 school days straight. And student C will have only read for 3. So it's really important. If you want to be a better reader, just read. And of course, if you have questions about being a better reader, if you need help with strategies for remembering what you read or ways to be a better reader, ask me. I'm so happy when I have kids ask me that. I would be happy to help you. So the challenge starts today. If you read over the summer, and I really hope you did, you can count books that you read over the summer. And anything that you read from now on can count as well. I know that I'm a little bit of a different reader than a lot of you, but I was just counting up on my reading tracker that I use. I read 32 books this summer. And I'm not saying that because I want to make you feel bad. I'm saying that just because I love to read. I couldn't get enough of books this summer. And I read a mix of regular books as well as audiobooks. I did a lot of ebooks because the libraries were closed, but I read some of my own personal books as well. So it's fun to read. And once you find stories that you really love, I think that reading is just one of the most natural things. I do ask that you please be honest with your reports that you're turning in. Remember, if you were with me last year, your page counts do not start over. They continue on. And once you sign the board, your name's on there. It's going to stay there. Even, 10 years from now or 15 years from now, your name will still be on that board. And if my 500 and 1,000 boards get too full, I'll retire them just like my gym did, but they'll still stay on the wall. I'll put a new one up for new people to sign, but those ones will retire. I'm planning on keeping this program going until I retire. Whether I'm at Summit Academy or any other school, we're going to be keeping with the Remarkable Readers. Now, I know that reading might be a little bit harder with the fact that we're virtual, that we're doing remote learning, because you guys don't have access to my library. And I know I went to the library and got some people books on a regular basis last year. Unfortunately, I can't get you physical books right now. But I do have some resources for ebooks and audiobooks. And the Stark County District Library is open again. So if you have a library branch near you or a bookmobile, I'm not sure if the bookmobiles are open yet, but all of the library branches are open. So if you are able to go to the library, you can get books now. So the last thing is just get reading. So I'm going to show you real quick this is my tally sheet. I keep this for everybody. You can see, maybe if it loads, that I've got people from last year who already have tallies ready to go. One of the cool things about last year is that we had over 52,000 pages read among all of my students. It was pretty incredible. Now about 20,000 of those were 3 kids, but that's okay. So on the middle school webpage, where it says Language Arts, you're going to click on that to get to the Remarkable Reader stuff. In the Language Arts page, you're going to see my Bitmoji classroom. In my Bitmoji classroom, all you have to do is click on the Remarkable Reader sign, the same one that was in the program, and it's going to take you to the Remarkable Readers page. You can use the links to click on the different boards if you want to take a look at them. But then down here, it'll say fill out a Remarkable Reader report. I'll put this link in other places, but this is the easiest way to get to it. All you have to do to fill out a report to get your pages counted is click on that, and it's going to take you to a Google form. You can fill this form out as many times as you want. There's no limit on it. And in this form, you are going to fill out your first and last name, the title of the book, the author, the number of pages. If you don't know the number of pages, let me know and I'll help you see if we can find it. Usually if you just Google search the book title and the author, it'll tell you how many pages it has. And I take the publisher's page numbers, that's fine. Then you're going to do a quick review of the book. I'm not going to have you, if you want to do the AR test on it, that's fine. I'm not going to really worry about that so much while we're doing virtual learning. But you're just going to do a quick review. From 1 to 5, you hated it to you loved it, or anything in between. You're going to explain to me why you chose the rating, and try and be a little more detailed than just it sucked or it was good. Give me a little bit more. Would you recommend that one of your classmates read it? Tell me a little bit more about the book, like what was your favorite character? Was it good or bad? Would you recommend it to me? I'm always looking for books that are recommended to me. I have a huge to-be-read list, and I actually read some books over the summer that some kids last year recommended to me that were really good. And that's it. You can have it send you a copy of your responses if you want to take a log or keep a log of it. But that's it. It's a really simple form this year. I'm trying to simplify it as much as I can for distance learning. But right there is just how you can look for your Remarkable Reader stuff. For e-reading, I know that, like I said, the resources aren't as great, and I'm still actively looking for different ways that you can do e-reading. There is a program called Bookshare that I'll have to tell you guys about later. I'm still working on getting a membership to it. But the two best resources, and these are both through the Stark County District Library, is the library, either getting physical books or by using their app called Libby, or you can also use the app called Hoopla. I'll have to put a link on there for you guys for that. Those are going to be your best resources, and those do require a library card, but they have online only library cards where if you have like a late fine that you never paid for an old card, you can get a new online only card that should hopefully not have any late fees associated with it. And it doesn't have a physical card, it's just a number that you can use for Libby or Hoopla and Overdrive, all the different programs through the Stark County District Library. If you need help organizing that and like getting hooked up with the library, I would be happy to help you. I love the Stark County District Library, and I love getting people hooked up with them. They're such a treasure in our community. So as I find more resources, I'm going to add to this bookshelf in the back of my Bitmoji classroom to give you more resources for online reading. I think there might be some other resources that I can get you, but right now I'm still working on it. But I really hope that if you have books at home, you can keep reading. We sent home a bunch of books at the end of last year. If you have some of those hanging around that you didn't get around to reading, you're welcome to read those. And if you need any help with recommendations or anything like that, just let me know. So I hope you guys get reading. I'm so excited to see how many pages we can accrue this year and what we can do with our Remarkable Readers. So if you have books that you've read over the summer, don't forget to click on the sign and then click on the report. You're welcome to tally up those books that you read over the summer as well. Happy reading!